All right, how we doing? Weird Science. This is Brandon. I'm coming at you guys along with Trevitt. We're going to bring you our weekly Marvel Minute here on Weird Science DC Comics Podcast. What are you doing, Trevitt?
Not bad. How you doing?
Good, man. We're going to be talking some X-Men Blue #6. And this one, every time it goes up on the vote, it seems to win the vote. So it seems to be kind of a popular book. Beat out Venomverse #1, which spoiler alert, I read was pretty shitty. And then there was,
It was good.
yeah, it wasn't very good. It definitely doesn't take place in continuity. I can tell you that.
Oh no,
because it
I thought it
starts
was
off
like a different universe or something.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on. It starts off with X-23 basically as a little girl. So I don't know what that cover's all about, where she's in her her Wolverine suit. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not where we are in the story. There's no. Anyway, we're here to talk X-Men Blue #6. You can hear about that later. And this book is written by Cullen Bunn. He's the regular writer on the series, but we have a replacement team of artists called Ray Anthony Height, Raymond Box, they're the pencilers. Mark Deering, Terry Pallett are the inkers, and Irma Navilla is the colorist. And that's hell of a replacement art team there. It's a Marvel Comics publication, and we're gonna get into the blurb here, spit the bit about X-Men Blue #6. Much to the joy of Richard Richardson. So this one is going to stop going up on the poll for a few weeks so I can get a break on my Twitter from that nutbag.
Doesn't take much to make him happy.
Yeah, I know, really. Apple Pop-Tarts and X-Men Blue. Anyway.
The Apple Jolly Rancher Pop-Tarts?
Oh, yeah, that's even worse. Yeah, so they're probably sour fucking Pop-Tarts.
So much worse.
Disgusting. Let's see here. I've personally, I went in, with an idea in my head about what X-Men books I was going to like with this Resurrection relaunch. And now that it's started and it's kind of, well into about its third month, I would say at this point, X-Men Blue, I would say, has probably been the standout title so far.
I agree.
Yeah, at least to me.
Relaunch totally flipped me.
Everything
that I thought I wasn't gonna like, I love, and everything I thought I was gonna love, I don't like.
Yeah,
weird.
Yeah, I know. With the exception of Old Man Logan, that's only one issue, though. You know what I'm saying? So it's still, the jury's still kind of out on that one, but the first issue was really good, and kind of still is like my favorite X-Men book right now. But as far as team wise goes, until Astonishing comes out and we see what that's all about. X-Men Blue holds that crown. So we're going to get into our blurb here, give you a hint of what's going on, and then talk about it. We got X-Men Blue. It's been mostly a unanimous hit with Marvel fans coming out of, for the most part, and in many ways, what feels like a botched and rushed Resurrection relaunch. Even the haters, which was mostly me, have grown to like X-Men Blue with some intriguing plot threads brewing moving forward. With that said, after reading issue 6 of Blue, I'm a little nervous and hope we aren't beginning to see the cracks in Marvel's bi-weekly release schedule, because this doesn't look good and tests the much-talked-about theory on Weird Science. Does awful art detract from the story being told? So let's discuss that and find out. Yeah, that's really what we're going to get into here, because things, I mean, as far as the start of the story goes, the very first page, I mean, it starts out fine, and it actually
looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks pretty good, especially the first 2 panels where she's looking out the window at fireworks and shit, and it's just kind of Jean Grey feeling a little stuck in the house, caged in. She's got cabin fever and she's a little bored, so she gets the idea to, I guess, track down Cyclops is her first instinct, but what's he not answering her telepathically, or is she just thinking this? Did you understand?
I think she's just thinking it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I read it twice just so I had a tighter understanding, and I get the feeling that she's just thinking it.
Yeah, because her word bubbles are usually a little different when she's like telepathically linking to people. You know what isn't it like kind of jaggedy, the lines around it? Yeah. So she's just thinking, she's like, I'm going to track down Cyclops and see what he's up to. But she finds he's just training with Magneto.
They have those little.
Sorry,
they have those little lines in the corner. Like it's the same bubble as her thoughts, but all the four corners of the bubbles have like these streaks through them when she's using telepathy.
Yeah, we'll probably see those here in a few pages. But yeah, Magneto and Cyclops are training. So Jean's just like, yeah, and I'm gonna leave him alone. And she goes on to what she calls Plan B, which is, I don't know, just kind of the lounge room, and there's Jimmy and Beast hanging out in there. And did you get the idea that she's like got the hots for Jimmy? I mean, are we doing a Jimmy Jean crush thing here, and it's going to piss off Scott and do the whole love triangle?
I most definitely got that idea, because when she goes up to him, you know, he says to her, "Is Summers still training with Magneto?" And she's like, I didn't really check. And she did check. So like, why would you lie about that? You know?
I know.
And she didn't even acknowledge Beast. Like she just went in there and said, "Hey Jimmy, you want to come with me?" Like
which I know pisses off Beast, because he's had a thing for Jean, right? That he's not totally over. And Jean is also like kind of stuttering while she's talking. You know what I'm saying? She's like, it sounds like me in the beginning of this segment here. You know, she's doing one of those while she's talking to him. And then Beast out of nowhere comes with the cock block to tag along on their little adventure she's trying to kind of coax Jimmy into going on. Beast is like, well, wherever you're going, I'll go. You know what I'm saying?
I'll be the third wheel. Did you notice he looks like he has Down syndrome in that panel? Like,
yeah, he looks so, like none of their faces, and this is where it really starts getting wonky. None of their faces really look good from here on out, because they're just drawn really inconsistently. And look at the top of this page, like how long Jimmy's arms are. Like they would be the length of his body at this point. You know what I'm saying? And same thing in the bottom left panel. His arms.
When he's holding the pool stick.
Yeah.
They look way too big.
Are as long as the fucking pool stick, goddammit. You know what I'm saying? You don't need that, Jimmy. You can put it away. Just stick your finger fucking up, pal. But they transition from Jimmy being long-armed and gorilla-like, kind of like drawn like Beast. It's almost like they mixed up the character models. You know what I'm saying?
He looks like an ape. You know, like monkeys and chimpanzees have longer arms than the rest of their bodies.
Like when they would draw Beast in the animated episode, kind of hunched back, and he'd walk like a gorilla sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But anyway, they go out and about in Madripoor. And it's kind of like just a festival going on. As far as I know, they didn't really say what the celebration was for, did they? They're just like, oh, there's a party going on. So it kind of looks like I don't know, like one of those Asian New Year's Day celebrations, kind of. If I had to guess, because there's like, dragon masks and shit everywhere. Those glowing lanterns and stuff like that. And Madripoor is, you know, in the Asia region of the Marvel Universe. But anyway, like, you know, they're just walking through this festival. They're kind of doing different shit. I don't know how else to explain it other than that. And Jimmy's just kind of in general, just kind of being high anxiety. He's just displaying like high anxiety traits. Like he doesn't want to be around all these people. He kind of thinks somebody's out to get him, or something fishy's always going on, you know.
He's brooding a little bit too. His face always looks miserable. Like when you do see a clear vision of his face.
Yeah, because they also mentioned a couple points in time that, like, you know, he has no memories of the universe he came from. The universe he came from is destroyed, and you know, him and a few others came through. Which we found this all out last issue, and I remember all this because I read them both back to back. But like they have no idea of where they came from other than somewhere else, and they can't remember any of it, and they have these fleeting memories. That's, you know, things will remind them of things, but they can't recall what they are or why they are. You know what I'm saying?
The Marauders seem to know who he was.
Yeah, I think that's because, you know, that Miss Sinister, who they pulled out of the archives there. I think it's because Miss Sinister just kind of filled them in on stuff. Because they show like one panel of her later in this issue, and we'll pick that back up when we get there, I guess, just so we can go in order of this book, because they continue walking through the streets. They're eating, that weird, probably cricket food on the side of the road. That's what I imagined up there.
Deep fried crickets.
Yeah, like spicy crickets. Then they're, I don't know what's going on here. Jimmy's just getting Lay's put on him. And then Beast is singing karaoke. And then Jimmy kind of gets the hint of something fishy going on and checks it out, I guess.
Smells
anything.
It.
Yeah, anything you wanted to say about that? Them walking through the town, checking things out.
It was stupid. I don't know.
It's weird because like the backgrounds are drawn better than like the characters. It's usually the opposite.
And it's funny because when they're eating the dumplings, there's a guy in the corner and he's laughing and his face looks better than theirs. All the secondary characters, like there's more emphasis put on them than there is on the main characters that we're supposed to be following,
Yeah, and I really wish Jimmy would have kept his beard. Like, I don't like the whole I'm just gonna be young Wolverine with blonde hair look. You know what I'm saying? The beard made him like.
He was cool with the beard.
I know. I love the beard. The beard was sweet.
Me too.
But yeah, like you mentioned, like he gets a whiff of something shady going down. He kind of smells this green glowing vial. And he goes to investigate what's going on, even though he can't really quite see it yet, from what I can tell. He sniffs down to this alley. I always find that hysterical when Wolverine kind of like sniffs things out like a dog. But he sniffs it out to this alley, and he walks up on these thugs, like just, I don't know, doing a drug deal. You know what I'm saying? Except instead of for like cocaine or weed or anything, it's for mutant growth hormone.
I've never heard of up until this point.
Yeah, this is all new to me, and I think a lot of this stuff is just kind of fucking all made up for this issue, which is some of my beef with it. But so these dudes are selling mutant growth hormone in this alley. And before Jimmy can spring on them, he just is peering out from this corner, and he sees and the bad guys obviously are attacked by the Raksha. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. The Raksha. Which are new. I looked it up. Yeah. They're brand new.
Dude, I spent 10 minutes on the internet, like on every Marvel wiki I could find.
Me too.
Yeah, these dudes are brand new. So they're not really super important either, but they like come strolling up to the scene on this giant. Is this at first? Because the scale in this issue, I was going to say this episode, is like also off in every panel. I can't tell if they rode in the Scorpion or if this is like those little attacking them later in the issue, and it's just freaking them all out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's that technokinesis guy sent it in first, because after that you see them get attacked by the gazing nightshade girl. I got all that character because they get what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. There's a dude named Norio who shoots black goo from his face.
Yeah. I mean, you know more of their names than I do. I literally didn't even put their names in their notes once I found out they weren't real. Like they were just made up for this issue.
I scoured through the pages and I was like, I took note of like all their names, what their powers were, just so I had a better understanding of like what they can do.
I'll give it to Cullen Bunn or whoever thought of these characters, because their powers are pretty cool,
Yeah.
But I don't care about them enough to have to learn their names.
They got kind of lame names too, like hexadecimal.
Like their names are fucking bonkers. So it's also not something easy I'm gonna recall. As soon as I saw Rashka, and then they also have names, I'm like, well, I'm out on these guys. But they do have some cool powers. They're attacking these thugs while Jimmy looks on. The one dude, I guess he does have like this pet mechanical scorpion, and he can control machines.
I think he can mold them into whatever he wants. Like
because the engine comes popping out of this car later on
with a mouth.
Yeah, it turns into like a snake engine, and it's fucking wild. And they take down the thugs and what's the guy's name with the patch? Did you pick up on it?
Norio.
Norio is about to eye for an eye this guy on the ground that he's got in a precarious position. He's like, oh, I'm going to take your eye. I guess that's his thing since he also has one eye and a patch. But Wolverine / Jimmy Hudson Wolverine comes flying in to stop this Norio from taking the bad guy's eye. He's like, listen, well, that's not how you handle things. Even the last issue, he was full on ready to kill the Marauders. So I'm a little confused on, is he a killer? Is he not a killer?
Did you notice that this Norio guy on his shirt, it kind of looks like he has like an X-Men symbol on it?
Yeah. Yeah, it does look like. I didn't notice it till you said so right now. But yeah, it's kind of like a Cyclops 90s X-Men style shirt. But yeah, so him and Wolverine, I keep calling him Wolverine. I don't really want to call him that because he mentions don't call me that at some point in the last couple issues. But Jimmy Hudson and him start mixing it up. Yeah, and he uses he's the dude with shadow powers, right? To take out
it looks like
Jimmy.
Black goo, but I guess it's shadows. Yeah,
it does kind of look like Manchester Black goo stuff going on. So Jimmy goes flying, and then to save him, Jean comes strolling in on the scene, and she starts using her telekinesis. So we kind of got like a heroes on heroes fight going on here as they introduce themselves to each other. You know what I'm saying? Like it just prototypical comic book behavior. Two new heroes on the scene. These people live in Madripoor, and the X-Men just kind of use it as their base of operations. So it's the first time they're running into each other, and this happens in every comic book when two heroes run into each other. Sometimes even if they're friends. So that's what basically is going on here.
Have to fight each other.
Yeah,
they fight each other to make sure they're cool or so. Like heroes always end up fighting each other when they don't know each other. And then they
basically all pair off, and each displays their powers to each other, and then at one point they just end up stopping. I don't even really know why they stop because Wolverine pops his claws. That's it, right?
No, Wolverine pops his claws and he starts slicing the machines, and then Jean's fighting that girl who doesn't have any powers, Whisper Doll. She just carries a sword. We didn't get to see anything, but she does.
Well, yeah, and the dude with the patch ends up like Jimmy comes up on him at one point and he sees the claws up close, and that's when he like calls the fight off.
Yeah, because apparently they were trained, or they were, they knew Wolverine when he was called Patch.
Patch, yeah. I think it's just like they idolize him. You know what I'm saying? Like he was there because I don't imagine Wolverine taking these kids. They look very young. You know what I'm saying? And the one girl mentions at one point how they're no older than the X-Men. So. I think it's just they heard about Patch and they idolize his methods, and they're willing to kill. So
I think when he was called Patch, it was around the time where, because he spent a lot of time in Asia, and I think it was like that. So they probably like heard stories about him, and he says we wanted to honor his legacy. So he's got the eye patch.
There's that magic legacy word.
God.
He probably does have two eyes. He just likes to wear a patch. But anyway, also just another random thing to mention while all this fight was going down, I put in my notes and I glazed over it, was that at one point Beast squared off with this chick who took over his mind or whatever and kind of is making him flip out. So he's kind of rolling around on the ground just whining about bad things he's done. And this is kind of a reoccurring theme that's been popping up in this book because he's been messing with magic and hasn't paid the quote-unquote price of magic yet.
Price. Yeah, I haven't thought about that because, I think what she does is she makes people feel like their innermost guilt, like to so much that it's crippling, because everybody's like, she did it when they first rolled up on the people with the mutant growth hormones, and they're all saying they're sorry, and they're laying on the ground crying. He's crying blood here, but that's not my thought. But, when Hank's talking about that terrible price, and anybody who reads Doctor Strange knows that there's like a punch, like every time you use magic, like it comes with consequences, like to yourself,
Yeah.
And, you know, Doctor Strange was storing that shit in his basement, and it ended up becoming this sentient, like horrible looking being
Black
that
blob.
ended up attacking. Yeah, that black blob. So like, God knows, like
it ended up saving him though. Ironically, remember that? Remember at the end of that arc?
It did.
Pretty crazy.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
But what's going to happen to Hank when that?
Yeah, I think that comes up shortly because I'm not a big Solicit guy. I hate looking at him, but I do remember seeing a future cover for X-Men Blue where Hank's kind of looking badass on one of the covers, and it's kind of just him. So I think there's a story coming up where it's going to really focus on Hank and this plot point brought up. But that's kind of how this issue ends, though. You know, these guys stop fighting. They reach an understanding with each other. We hit a page that recaps the villains these guys have kind of run into over the 6 issues. I've said kind of so many times right now. I can catch myself now. So I apologize for that. But so it recaps
Bastion.
Yeah, that they fought or will encounter in the future. Like Miss Sinister is in there. And you can see her with Quicksilver on the table. So I think she messes with their minds. You know, she's putting memories.
Yeah, I think she does.
Teaching them what they want, what she wants them to know.
Who's the lady in the shadows with the red eyes and the red, like, you know, her body's like red, has a red glow to it. Like, I don't remember seeing that person.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. Is that Shadow King? I don't even know if it's a chick.
You know, that was the first thought I had. But and it's funny you mentioned that because
that's,
you know, you mentioned
astonishing thing coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it was kind of a spoiler that at the end of Astonishing, something big was going to happen that's going to like reverberate throughout the whole entire, like every X title. So maybe it is Shadow King because, you know, it's going to affect everybody. So who knows?
Yeah, because I mean, there's a skull, there's a heart, there's a microscope there. Those are the hints you get in a shadowy figure, like outlined in red with glowing eyes. So I think they're just touching on future plot points that'll happen because then Miss Sinister, I mean, only Jean saw her last issue. Nobody else did because it was just in the Mindscape. And then Emma Frost, I mean, she just runs things from behind the scenes. They haven't run into her yet. They're looking for her, but they haven't found her.
I think that's going to come up in the Civil War tie-ins because, you know, she's the person behind what's his name in TN.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I can't remember his name right now. But the guy with the skull mask.
Shit. No, now I just drew a blank. It was on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, he was the guy in Morrison's run at the end. It ended up being Magneto, but
they keep changing his. He's not Magneto anymore. So
no, they keep changing his origin. He was an extraordinary too.
I feel like such a bad X-Men fan right now. I know.
Me too.
Anyway, we'll come back to that because it'll pop into my head randomly. Zorn. There we go.
Zorn. That's it. Zorn. Yeah. Oh God, how did I forget that?
So anyway,
you know what I like? Oh, sorry.
No, my bad. What do you like?
I was gonna say that with X-Men Blue, with the first 5 issues that's happened so far, I've really enjoyed that. Like every issue, he has been taking the time to like not only just run the long story points that he has going through every issue, but he's taken the time to set up stuff for down the road. Like every issue is ended with a villain that at the end, and it's been done very well. Like they take off at the end, and we know we're gonna see them later. So he's setting up all this stuff that could like lead 20 issues down the line, which I really enjoy. I just hope he pulls it off nicely.
Yeah,
bi-weekly.
But after that, like preview page that just highlights future plot points that are hopefully coming down the line, we just wrap up the issue with goddamn, what's their name again? The Raksha, just saying they've been going after this mutant growth hormone, and then they've been having some small successes and taking it off the streets. But I don't know, this is like their whole general reason for being.
Purpose.
Yeah, to get MGH off the streets. And so Jean asked them, and this is how the issue concludes by saying, well, we don't really like that you guys kill people, so why don't you come with us and learn Xavier's methods, or not really come with them, but we'll teach you Xavier's methods, and you teach us the way of the ninja, which I didn't really get that's what they were. I didn't know they were fucking ninjas. I just thought they were mutants because they all have mutant powers.
The one chick with the sword I thought was a ninja, but you know, when they all came fighting in the first splash page, you know, they were all doing kung fu, but I didn't get the feeling they were ninjas either.
Okay,
except for that chick.
Because she says at
except
the
for
end,
that chick.
she's like, "Yeah, teach us to be ninjas." I'm like, "What the fuck? These dudes are ninjas? I didn't know they were ninjas."
Maybe the one chick with the sword, but
yeah, and then it says the end. So I don't know if we're going to be seeing these dudes again, the Rashka, or not. I don't really know. I kind of hope not. That they're, like I said, their powers were cool. I did like their powers, but they weren't really too interesting as characters. Just these dudes that fight drug dealers in Madripoor. So.
Plus, isn't it make it hard to enjoy when the art is bad? Like, think about if like a David Marquez drove this issue. Like, the action would have been better, the character designs would have been better. You might have been interested in these characters. Yeah.
No, I know. I had so many, well, not really problems reading the book. I just kind of like I stopped paying attention to the art, really. I just read the words on the page and just kept going with the story. Like, I'm like, who's talking? Okay, I know who's talking next. Like, I go just keep moving. Because the art did get so bad. And it wasn't even, well, the art was bad. I can't even say it wasn't even that. It was just like the scale of everything was so off and their faces were so inconsistent. It was like everything about it. So yeah, that's the end of the issue. We'll really tell you our thoughts here. Buy, borrow, or forget. You know, you're the X-Men guy, I would say. So why don't you spit the bit first here? Tell us what you would do and why for X-Men Blue 6.
All right, here we go. You know, the best art in this book was Bastion in the panels where it's showing Miss Sinister, Emma Frost, the chick in the red glow. Like, Bastion, the second panel down, that's the best art in this whole entire issue.
Yeah, besides for that first panel I like. Yeah, Emma Frost looks halfway decent, but that's about it.
Yeah, she does look halfway decent.
Miss Sinister looks like she's 12 years old, like playing in the basement with her mom's toys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she really does look 12 years old. But all right, I got my little blurb here. Bottom line, this is definitely not as good as the 5 issues before it. I think we're seeing signs of the bi-weekly schedule slump that we sometimes have to deal with this kind of schedule that not only affects the story. You know, the art in this issue might not be god awful, but it's pretty damn close to being so.
Yeah.
A lot of people I know at the comic book store, they're always saying that, you know, they can take bad art as long as the story is good, but I don't buy it. Like, sometimes an artist can make a big difference in the story because people forget the artist is also the person who tells part of the story with facial expressions, mannerisms, you know what I mean? Things like that. It's a big deal. Hidden things in the background, you know what I mean? That you know, might not be thrown at, like, you know, you don't know, if you didn't look at it, you wouldn't notice it, but it is a part of the story, you know what I mean? Like, you have to pay attention to the art because it's a big part of the story. We don't get that in this issue at all. The story, you know, really wasn't anything to write home to mom about. Like, it's a little, I don't want to say it was boring, but like, there was a bunch of action, but with art this bad, like, it's really hard to enjoy any of it. Like,
it was just kind of action for no reason too. Like,
it really was. It's, you know, it was just, I mean, I don't want to say this because they do this in every comic book, but it was just really less enjoyable here. Like, it was a forced action because it was the superhero versus superhero trope with, like, the first meeting, you know, they have to fight each other to get to know each other and then accept each other. It's just whatever. But, you know, I like them setting up the Scott Jean Jimmy love triangle. I knew that was going to happen. You know, it's like a throwback to the old X-Men stories with Wolverine, Scott, and Jean, you know. I figured that was going to start sooner than later because I read Future Solicits, and I'm not sure that Jimmy's going to be around forever. Oh, what else? Oh, yeah, there was one thing that was interesting about this story is the mutant growth hormone. I'd like to know more about that. What's the point of it? What does it do? Does it give you power?
They didn't tell you anything about it. They just mentioned it.
Yeah, you didn't get no information, no rules. You don't know if it gives you temporary powers based on your genes or if it just gives you super strength, a high. Like, I don't know why people are buying it, but they're buying it, and it exists apparently.
I know. Do only mutants buy it, or do regular people buy it? They didn't even tell you that.
No, they don't even tell you that. Like, you get no information other than people are selling it on the street and what it's called. Oh, and apparently, Jimmy recognizes the smell of it. Like it's very familiar in particular to him. Like he has a thing, like he thinks it has something
Ultimate
to do
Universe. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody that read a lot of Ultimate X-Men would know more about it than we do.
Maybe. I had that thought because like maybe it's something from that. I mean, I have every issue. Maybe I should check it out just to check, see if it exists. But with all the balls in the air from the past 5 issues, I expect we'll see more down the road, if not the next issue, from these people, the Raksha or whatever. But for me, even though I love this book and I love this series, this particular issue is a forget it altogether.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to burp there. Yeah, as far as me for buy, borrow, and forget, like I kind of am just going to repeat everything you said. I said the story wasn't awful, but it wasn't like interesting either. You can tell it was like just an issue to buy time until the regular artists can catch up and get to the good stuff that they really want to tell you about. So I just, I wish these bi-weekly books would almost do 2 in a month, and then the next month they do 1. So they give everybody just like 3 in 2 months instead of 4 in 2 months. You know what I'm saying? Because when the artists, like you buy this in a trade, this might be the first issue in the second trade. Like yuck, you don't want to read that trade any further. You know what I'm saying?
No, it spoils it.
Yeah, it really does.
It's like just getting a nice fresh sandwich and then smelling a nasty egg fart. Like,
yeah, that really, it's something like that. I mentioned I just want to get to the interesting plot points they've set up, and I didn't need them bringing in brand new characters and establishing this mutant growth hormone plot. I was interested in Jimmy already. I don't need another reason to be interested in Jimmy yet when he's got memories to figure out, and now there's this Jean possible love triangle, and now there's this green stuff floating around he might know about. It just feels there's a lot going on with him already.
Yeah, I agree.
And he's only been in 3 issues. You know what I'm saying? He's got the Marauders rolling around, this green stuff, no memories, and Jean and already has a thing for him. So and he's lost his beard, goddammit, which I really liked. The Raksha, I know. The Raksha were mildly interesting but forgettable in the long run. Those are my story notes. And then art was not good. It starts off well, and it gets to be okay in a few points in the story, but it takes a nosedive early on, and it doesn't really recover. I said it takes a nosedive off a cliff into a shallow pool of ugliness. That's what I wrote.
It really does.
The inconsistent character designs and poor scale just really ruin it and kill the fight. Like I said, you don't know if that scorpion that shows up in the beginning is a vehicle they rode in on, or if it's just like his pet. Does it shrink? Does it grow? I don't know. The thing's all over the place in about 4 or 5 pages and then vanishes. So I don't know what the hell that thing was all about. And just not a great story. I really wanted to say borrow, but after talking about it, there's not much to redeem. If you're pissed off that you got to spend $4 for a book every other week, you could probably skip this one and read the 2-sentence recap in the next issue of X-Men Blue and be just fine. If you're not a psycho, I got to have every issue like me and Trevid and some people are. So
how do they drop the ball on this so bad? Like, if you're going to set up a series on a bi-weekly schedule, you do have Jorge Molina, who does amazing art. And then the 2 secondary artists that we've had have been like completely less than, what I mean? Like they are not touching his art, and there's just no consistency. Like
with Gold too. Like Gold, it started.
It really is.
With that dude, he got in all that trouble for hiding messages in the book. Like his art, the first couple issues was really good. Despite what he did. And I don't. Regardless, it's not that I don't care about him being a scumbag, but and ever since then, nobody's been able to touch it. That's the problem.
No, RB Silver. Ken Lashley, his stuff is. I'm sorry. So Ken Lashley stuff is kind of rushed, and so is RB Silva's. Like, they're both better artists than what we're getting. Like, I have tons of issues of other comics by them as artists, and their X-Men stuff doesn't come close. I'm happy we're going to get Lan Medina from Venom and Luke Ross from, well, the last thing he did, I think, was Captain America and the Mighty Avengers with Sam Wilson. Those two artists are really good, and we're going to get them on Gold. But what about Blue? Like, this industry is overflowing with incredible artists. DC has incredible artists falling out of their ass, and we can't get good people on. Like, this is a new relaunch. We should have like premium.
They should have. Yeah, because you know, at this point, it's not even the artists they released in the beginning solicits on the books. It's just like backup people and anybody they can pull off the streets. It feels like it. If you have a team of 4 artists on this book, you know, an inker and a penciler, and they're each responsible for one a month. So you got, you know, one-on-one issue every single month. They should be able to meet those deadlines. It's not really anything more than what they're doing. And it's not like those people are putting out 2 in a row either. So I don't know where the disconnect is. Why
neither do I.
The main guys are
why some issues feel rushed.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
Like, why does RB Silva's art not look up to par of his? I mean, he's doing 1 issue a month. I mean, I know he does covers and stuff, but like, if you're doing 1 issue a month, it should be just as good as if you were on a monthly series.
Yeah, if you're doing both of them and your art looks a little rushed, I can forgive it. But if you're on one of them and it's looking rushed, and then there's still fill-in artists on it and stuff, I don't know what's going on with the art in some of these books.
No.
But yeah. That's it for X-Men Blue number 6. Unanimous forget for both of us. Unfortunately, 6 is an issue you could skip. But, you know, as far as overall plot threads and interest in the book, it still remains pretty high for me. I like it better than Gold, which was the book I thought I would be all about when this all started. You know,
same here.
So, yeah, that's about it, guys. We're going to wrap things up. So forget X-Men Blue 6. If you're looking for us, we're always on Twitter typing away. You can find me at Beamer. Excuse me, burping again. Beamer3660. Trevor, where are you at?
You can find me at Afrin Addict.
Yeah. No, I now see why people don't drink pop when they do podcasts, because that's not the radio there. But if you guys want to hear a little more Marvel talk, we will be doing our weekly Marvel Madness podcast. We got 3 books this week. Those are going to be Venomverse 1, Jean Grey 3, and Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme 9, and then a quick minute or 2 on Secret Empire 5. So that's what we'll talk about there this week. And also on Monday on the site weirdscience.com, we're going to switch up Marvel Mondays a little bit and put some new articles out there instead of just reviews for you guys. So check that out. And that's what's going on this week. So holler at us. We're going to wrap this party up. It is over. And you guys have a good week. Peace out.
Peace.